welcome to Who is Best, a show where I, Claudine, take games that give you choices and rate those choices in a tier list. The Legend of Heroes series is one of those underappreciated titles that is just starting to gather the attention it deserves. We've covered the 4 titles of the Trails of Cold Steel series on this channel, and now we'll move on to the series that started it all, The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky FC, or First Chapter. The cast of Trails in the Sky is one of the more conservative ones, with a handful of members who have gone on to be important staples in the overall narrative. It mostly focuses on Estelle and Joshua, who are the only 2 consistent party members in the game. All the other party members are in and out until the final dungeon. So, only minorly considering accessibility, we're going to look at who is best in Trails in the Sky. Oh, and stick around till the end where we'll reveal the optimal endgame party. We'll get started with the tier. So the first member of this list, and only member of the tier, is unfortunately Tita. Tita has the worst accessibility in the game, really only being available for 1 chapter and the final dungeon. But that isn't what's landing her here. She has really only a single use in the form of Smoke Cannon, which is a craft that can blind all the enemies on the field. Pair it with a status effect quartz and you might have the single best craft in the game. But Tita has horrible stats, is abysmal with arts, is horribly underleveled when you get her, and is mostly a physical-based character, which physical-based attacks just don't compare to arts at all. It's unfortunate for such a fun and lovable character, but she dug her own grave. The low tier. Okay, let's move on to a controversial placement. After reading through the many different lists scattered on the web, I've deduced that no one can agree on a placement for Zane. So let me settle that once and for all. Zane is your best choice for a tank. His entire build centers around his ability to taunt enemies and send them into a blind rage. This allows your other party members to pick away at enemy groups. So what's the problem? Well, if for some reason the enemies are immune to taunt, or you are unable to taunt them, you are left with a physical-based character with almost entirely single-target attacks. There is a place for him on an optimal team, but I'd say that his usefulness doesn't reach as far as the other party members on this list. Next on the low tier is Agate. Agate is a DPS with some decent crafts. Wild Rage can come in clutch, sacrificing life for a massive amount of CP. Spiral Edge goes far in delaying enemy attacks as well. He also can do some decent damage to a group of enemies, and as a physical attacker, he's a pretty good one. But the fact that he's an average arts user and takes a valuable position on the team that could be filled by other better characters, he's probably better left on the bench with Tita. The mid-tier. Stat-wise, Charizard or Shara is superior to both Chloe and Olivier. She probably serves best as a support mage / light tank. She's a very effective arts user and in the final chapters receives Heaven's Kiss, which can push your party's turn forward, allowing them to fire off extra moves or even skip the charge time of arts. This ability is incredibly broken if the circumstances are right. And if it wasn't for the support abilities of both Chloe and Olivier, she might have landed higher on this list. Next on the mid-tier is Estelle. If it was up to availability, Estelle would be top tier. She is similar to Agate, but with one main advantage. She can handle arts much better. Estelle also has the single highest damaging S-craft in the game, making her an ideal DPS for your party. Unfortunately, as I've stated many times already, she is mostly a physical-based character with just enough versatility that she made it to the top of the mid-tier. The top tier. Chloe is your emergency healer. Her S-craft alone, which heals the entire party, revives all KO'd allies, and ups defense by 50%, makes her invaluable in some of the harder fights in the game. Kaempfer makes for one of the best debuff moves in the game, cutting a single enemy's attack and defense in half, and to top it all off, she's an amazing arts user. I also need to mention Sturm, which is a decent impede move, allowing her to stop enemy spellcasting, but having to move in close can put her in a sticky situation. I'll admit that she isn't as good as Olivier, but can still beat out everyone else on this list when it comes to usefulness. And speaking of Olivier, he stands out as one of the best characters in this entire game. He has high ATS, Snipe Shot, which is the best impede craft in the game for its range, accuracy, and ability to stop enemies from casting devastating spells. He also has an emergency heal in Happy Trigger. When it comes to arts, he's simply the best. He has only a single required elemental slot, where Chloe has 3, which makes him much more versatile in his arts range. Because he's squishy, Olivia benefits from his long range typing as well using a gun, keeping him out of range of enemy attacks. Overall, you have the top of the top tier. Now let's finally move on to the God tier. The final member of this list, and easily the best character in the game, is Joshua. Joshua is available throughout your entire playthrough, an amazing art user with decent slots, the best physical attacker in the game with AT delaying moves that can keep enemies from attacking, as well as the taunt ability. If all that wasn't enough, Black Fang is one of the best S-crafts in the game, and he can also gain the best time arts sooner than any other member. All this culminates into the single best party member, and there's just no debate. Alright, as far as optimal endgame party goes, you'll want to use Joshua, Estelle, and Olivier. The 4th member can be chosen according to gaps in your party. The most preferable choice would be either Chloe for healing and an extra impede attack, or Shara for her immensely broken AT advanced craft. But if you feel you need a good tank to take the heat off your party, you can always go with Zane, though be warned, a lot of late game enemies are immune to taunt. And that's my list. Subscribe to see the sequels to the Trails in the Sky series in the near future. Be sure to like, share, and I'll see you all later.